Hey, wanna see a cool Steve tech? This is possible because you can use the PMLG, or hit stun cancelling tech, to avoid being put into tumble and thus not bouncing off the blocks and breaking them, which took me longer than I'd like to admit to learn how to do. Anyways, you can see something weird when you try to spam blocks too. The first failed block place symbol appears all the way over here, which is rather peculiar considering I am not right there. And I guess shows that the game doesn't quite know what to do when Steve tries to place a block at such high knockback velocities. I saw this tech on Steve Tech SSBU's Twitter page. If you want to check them out, it's full of really interesting things. And yeah, I'm still calling it Twitter like 90% of normal people. Also, what's kind of funny about this is that it only works because TNT is stupid. Its main purpose in Minecraft is blowing blocks up. And yet here it doesn't blow anything up. I think this is because TNT is considered a projectile, and projectiles don't affect the stage blocks at all. What's that? You want more stupid and niche Steve tech? Sure, another one I saw on the page involves a way you can sort of delay your anvil's descent. Of course, here's what a normal anvil acts like. There's a slight hop, but it's pretty straightforward. Now, if I do this complex scientifically engineered setup and then use anvil again, it's got a weird delay to it now, doesn't it? And this persists even after losing your stock, or even if training mode is reset. It only goes away once you use your anvil, so it's like a one-time stored attack. The cause? It seems to happen just when you interrupt Steve's grab with an anvil. And that's kinda it. So technically this whole setup isn't mandatory. Any situation that lets your grab get interrupted will accomplish this. I guess it's just that the delay time is dependent on how strong the anvil's hit was. And you can see that the anvil delay caused from this simpler setup is actually a lot shorter than the previous one, which had gotten a much bigger hit in. And it wouldn't be a Steve tech without some sort of crazy setup now, would it? Now, some clarifications. This delay only happens if you activate the anvil when it's like really close to something. And not just anything, but something that it can interact with. However, if you spawn it close to the ground, there's no delay. Nor if you spawn it from really high up in the air. And actually, if you use it when in range of hitting an opponent but still not super close, the delay will not happen. This makes me think the cause of the glitch has something to do with the anvil's hit detection, or I guess rather hit placement or something. Or maybe it has something to do with how anvil is used for a throw too? And maybe like the throw properties interact with the anvil weird because of that? I don't know. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna stop myself right there because I really don't think I'm qualified to try and pinpoint logic to a Steve glitch. Yeah, like let me just go grab my PhD in computer science and tomfoolery shenanigans for this one. There are a few things I wanted to test out though. One, now that we mentioned Steve's down throw, it's worth pointing out how if you use this throw after activating the delay glitch, nothing about the attack will change, but it'll count as using the anvil and effectively remove the glitch, which is interesting. Though if the throw that gets interrupted to start the glitch is the down throw, then the delay will still happen same as before. The other thing I was wondering about was how this worked with multiple Steves, and the results are that if one Steve's anvil cancels a different Steve's throw, then no glitch seems to happen for either of the characters. And I tried this with multiple types of setups, all of which being incredibly difficult to input on two controllers as one person, and still the glitch did not happen. So I guess it has to be your own anvil that interrupts your own grab, for some reason. Oh, and if you wanted practical application for this glitch, there's probably a lot of combo routes that open up because of this delay, especially involving shield pressure, so yeah, be sure to use this at your local to great effect. And for another wonky anvil thing, GozHaruHaru on Twitter had posted a funny clip involving anvils in rolling crates. That being, with the help of a rolling crate, if you throw it just low enough to where it doesn't pass the platform, it can actually pick up the anvil and send it through the platform, something that wouldn't be feasible otherwise. That's kind of just it. Okay, that's enough Steve for today. Let's talk about this topic I saw from Silentor regarding Yoshi's shield. So we all know the deal with Yoshi's shield, right? It is a egg. This makes it particularly unique from other shields because it doesn't have any shrinkage as it weakens. It does mean you can't tilt the shield any, but why would you need to when you're already fully protected? Well, if we go frame by frame to try and shield the hit of a Pikmin attached to us, we may see something a bit cursed. Yeah, a normal shield over Yoshi's egg. What I find gets this to happen isn't when you just time the shield perfectly, but rather when you let go of the shield a little bit before the Pikmin's attack actually comes in. Even though Yoshi is in an animation where he's removing the egg, I guess the shield is technically still active, and thus when the attack comes in, he goes back into the shield. And I always found that it was in these moments that the real shield visual actually came into play. And it makes sense that the shield's active frames will be longer than the visuals indicate. If we do this side-by-side comparison, it seems like Olimar's shield comes out way sooner than Yoshi's, and that Yoshi's take several frames, and yet here if we try to shield the Pikmin's attack a single frame before it comes out, it gets blocked just fine. I think there's a few theories you could go with for this one. I like the idea that this shield effect is always present for the move, but just sort of gets hidden when the shield activates. But when the shield gets forcefully activated after you've let go of the button, perhaps this supposed mechanic that hides the shield effect isn't in place, thus, it's not hidden. I mean, I'm totally just spitballing, but I do think this visible shield is still inherently tied with the egg. If we hold down the shield button after having let go and caused this to happen, the shield will stay in place. And in doing this, we can notice two things. One, we cannot tilt the shield at all, and two, the shield size does not shrink. So even though visually it's the same as the other shields, it still acts exactly the same as Yoshi's egg. Now, if you've heard all that, there's a chance you might be thinking, wait, PK Beats, getting hit right after letting go of shield, isn't that just what causes a parry? To which I say, well, that's actually a really smart observation that I'm now going to steal. Yes, I think the reason why the shield comes up like this and isn't present in other attacks is because normally this is parry timing, but you actually can't parry the Pikmin attacks. And I think this fact that you can't parry the Pikmin slaps is actually very important, which we can see when we test Fox's laser. This is a move kinda like the Pikmin latch attack, because it deals damage and some form of shield stun, but it doesn't flinch. Yet when I tried the same timing for this, well, you just parry it. So nothing weird happens. So I guess what we need for this to happen is an attack that can be shielded and deals shield stun, but can't be parried. And I'm honestly struggling to think of any. You might wonder about certain hit grabs or whatever you'd call them, things like Isabelle's fishing rod or Joker's grappler. They clearly interact with the shield but can't be parried, but I think while they are technically interacting with the shield, it's not dealing any damage or stun to it, so it doesn't quite work the same, and thus I couldn't get it to happen with them either. And there's a lot of moves in this entire game, right? I think there's like 6 or 7 or something. So going through all of them to find the ones that meet similar criteria to the Pikmin kinda hurts my little baby brain. So again, leave comments for further testing, but I think we have a good enough idea about this mechanic now, which is enough to make me smile. Anyways, before we move on to the next thing, I'd like to take some time to thank today's video sponsor, this fish I've caught a few times now. Say hi everyone. It's called a fall fish, being one of the few fish I've seen that doesn't have a complete laundry list of alternative titles. When I first caught one, I was really excited because I thought it looked kinda cool. It's got some nice colors and is really shiny, and surprisingly, it actually puts up a bit of a fight when reeling it in. Though another thing I've noticed after catching one is that they like to burp. For some reason, every time I've gotten one of above average size, it made some kind of weird burping sound as I was removing the hook. It's always kind of funny to hear a little fish sound just burping is stupid. Some fun facts about the fall fish is that it technically falls under the minnow species. And considering how big these things can get, having it technically be a minnow is really funny. The biggest one I've caught so far was one I got even after I wrote this script, at about 10 inches. It's kind of amazing how big these things can get. And apparently they can come over double this size too, which is just crazy to me. And before the introduction of smallmouth or largemouth bass and the likes, they were actually the apex predator of their general habitats. Isn't that a funny thought? A minnow being the apex predator? Anyways, that's all. Thanks for sponsoring the video, Fallfish. Speaking of falling, next up we got a visit from Examine623, and they've got a frankly ridiculous fact regarding Pac-Man in Mr. Game & Watch. He can jump on Pac-Man's trampoline normally, obviously, and he can even do it when he's small, so all is well and good. However, if he's small and the game is slowed down, I guess it's hard for two flat objects to interact sometimes, huh? Now, this is a bit inconsistent in this specific setting. Sometimes when he tries to jump onto it, it'll work. I think it depends on fall speed and where specifically you're landing on the trampoline. And also kind of depends on the speed of the game itself, like how slow it is. But for the most part, he just ignores it. Technically, this could also include the slowdown from the timer, but I only say technically because every time I try to get it in this little recording, he always bounced off just fine, and any of the times he didn't, he was really close to it before, so I don't think it really counts. It's certainly not to the extent it was before. Luckily, we don't even need to change the speed. As long as Game & Watch is tiny and we increase Pac-Man's size, this glitch works without the game being slowed down at all. And it's very consistent. So clearly the factors of both game speed and character size are important, but these sizes are more important. Though we'll touch up on all the other factors in a bit. Anyways, I know what you're probably thinking after having seen all this. PK Beats, how the hell do you keep reading my mind? And also you might be thinking that this has something to do with the Z-axis. You know, Game & Watch is flat. So maybe by messing with sizes, he's moving through the trampoline now. It makes sense, right? Well, looking in the camera at a normal size, he's perfectly on it here. This trampoline is a lot less flat than I gave it credit, honestly. And when the sizes have been changed to cause a glitch, he's still over it, right? Like, by all means, he should absolutely be interacting with the trampoline, yet he's not. His Z-axis position hasn't been changed at all. So maybe it's not a Game & Watch 2D issue. Obvious course of action now is to test other characters of all shapes and sizes. Basically, no one I tested could replicate this setup even if I boosted Pac-Man's size even more with a lightning backfire. Everyone interacted with the trampoline just fine. Everyone except for Pichu. He also ignored the trampoline in the same fashion, and very consistently too. And I don't know much about Pichu, but he is not flat. In fact, I think he's quite rather rotund, if anything. So what do Game & Watch and Pichu have in common? Well, I guess their weights are both really low, but when I test Jigglypuff here, she basically never goes through the trampoline. But I wonder if that's because of her fall speed, as the times where she jumped very close to it, that's when she would ignore it on her descent. So maybe she's just too floaty or something. Squirtle is similar to the others both on weight and fall speed, and yeah, for the most part it works for him too. It feels a little bit less consistent, like it depends on exactly how high up the trampoline is placed, but it can still work. And then for the others with low weights, like Fox or Sheik, it just never worked. Though if you then, on top of all the other stuff, decrease the speed like we had done at the very beginning, now Sheik starts to ignore the trampoline. And before we gather all the factors, just to further drive home the idea that this isn't really a Z-axis thing, if we go to a stage like Duck Hunt where everything's just kind of flat, nothing about this changes the glitch, for Game & Watch or for other characters. The factors didn't seem to change the results, and I guess that's probably obvious if you think about it, but I figured at least just a few people would be curious anyways. So, knowing all that, what seems to factor into whether or not the Pac-Man trampoline works is the following: player size, Pac-Man size, game speed, weight, fall speed, general character physique, humidity, height of trampoline, position of descent. Okay, yeah, it's a lot less cut and dry than just Mr. Game & Watch being a flat idiot, so take all the information you've learned today and apply it as you must. What's that? You want more facts? Alright, fine, let me scrape one out of the old fact submission form. Okay. AlexXX with 3 exclamation marks informs me of something with Game & Watch's up air. Usually the distance the up air goes is around here, so it can't reach the end of the screen. Now, counter to Alex's advice, there aren't really any requirements for this thing to happen. If I just put Franklin badges on everyone and have it get reflected twice, the up air goes way further now. Actually, no, it goes way farther now. Further is for symbolic distance, farther is for literal distance. Anyways, and actually you don't even need to reflect it twice. Hitting Mario up here will send it down way off the screen. So, obvious question, just how far can it go? Unfortunately, the up air doesn't go through portals, so we can't use a fully automated and infinite system. But we can just make a super vertical map and test it out here. And yeah, it seems to just keep on going and going, whether it's a Franklin badge reflect or a different kind. It never seems to disappear and always retains its hitbox. The issue is that, after 6 times, you can't reflect it anymore, as is a basic mechanic of the game. It's in that sense that it's technically not infinite, but with how much distance is covered now, I get the feeling that if you could reflect it forever, it wouldn't go away, which is kinda neat. What's that? You want just one more fact for the day? Well, too bad, I'm done. Anyways, I know that it's back to school season now. I mean, for some people it has been for a bit now, but regardless, it's time to start getting back on some sort of schedule thing. And for me, a freelance employed self-studying adult, I'm doing that in the form of dieting, among other things, which has been going well. I've already started seeing some great progress, thank you for asking. Oh, and about this channel, I've been doing the usual trivia type nonsense videos that I like to do, but some of you may be wondering when the Japanese oriented stuff is returning. I've promised at least one more Tears of the Kingdom video, and I definitely intend to make good on that promise eventually. I think before that though, I'm gonna try out some sort of Smash Ultimate Japanese thingy and see how that turns out. Really, like most things on this channel, the format is gonna be about the same type of rambling mess of verbal diarrhea you can expect from me, but this time specifically about Japanese stuff. I think I'll try and make that the next video, but we'll see how it turns out while I write the script. Also, maybe I'll work on TF2 videos again. I've seriously got so many clips, and I really need to start organizing them into full compilations. I swear to God, I have like, how many hundreds of gigabytes do I have? I think I have at least 700 gigs of footage right now. And I keep adding more and more as I play, because I have like Shadow Play activated, so I just hit like a few buttons and it saves the last minute I recorded, so I just keep on piling them up. But at the same time, I've been starting to put some more focus into competitive TF2, and that kind of eats up my gamer time. So whatever, for now, you'll just get the usual clips during these outro sections. So comment below your favorite color, and in the meantime, I'll thank my lovely patrons, Raighne, Sylvan700, Burbo, Isaac Bragna, SpiderJew, and everyone else for their massive support. Stay casual, and I'll see y'all later.